What is up, my friends? Welcome back to another beautiful Juju Stroll. Today we're working on the farmer's tan, but in addition to that, I'm going to be answering some questions from you guys, a few follow-ups from other videos, and just a few quick ones as well. So to kick things off, we got this one from Gregory, which is all about the revealing one's hand binding vow. Which for anyone unfamiliar, I've got like a video going, like a full explanation mode on it, but it's where you explain your ability to your opponent and in return you get a power boost, right? The binding vow is the trade-off that you're giving information to your opponent, basically helping them against you, so in return your technique gets stronger. So Gregory wanted to know how this would work with Yuta and Hakari. So let's start with Yuta, and the question boils down to, because Yuta's technique is copy, could he just explain copy and then get a boost for all of his copied curse techniques? Would he have to explain each and every copied technique, and could he stack those bonuses? So in my opinion, how this works is less about like the equation of revealing one's hand, i.e. you explain your technique, you get a bonus, which in this case would be copy, right? But it's more so about the actual sacrifice and return on that, meaning you're giving your opponent valuable information, and in return, the thing you explain gets stronger. So it doesn't really make sense for copy to get stronger, right? Yuta's not going to say like Rika eats a part of you, and so now she's going to be more efficient in gobbling down your entire left leg, you know what I mean? So instead, I think Yuta would have to use that for each and every copied technique and then get a bonus to that specific copied technique. So he could stack them in terms of, he could use it on curse speech and then he could use it on sky manipulation, but that wouldn't be like additive. Like if Yuta did that, his punches aren't getting double the bonus, you know what I mean? Like curse speech gets the bonus and then sky manipulation gets the bonus. Then for Hakari, this is interesting because his technique is so weird, right? Like it's tied to his domain. And also the sure hit of his domain is literally explaining the rules of how it works. So I think Hakari is kind of a unique case where he really can't take advantage of this binding vow. Maybe he could kind of explain how his domain works and how his technique is tied to his domain, and then maybe his like train doors and the little balls he throws, and maybe even like the immunity frames, like the re-rolls, like maybe he could get some sort of bonus on those. But for the most part, I just don't think he can really utilize this the same way like a normal sorcerer could. Then next up here, Dragon sent me in a thoughtful comment with his idea for Sukuna's reversal, which is something we've talked about in a few recent videos. And the idea we've talked about is, cleave and dismantle or cutting things up, so maybe the reversal would be fusion. But what Dragon brings up is that doesn't account for the furnace side of his technique. And that's even something I mentioned in my video. I was like, yeah, we're just ignoring that. So Dragon says, instead of ignoring it, what if the reversal of the furnace part of the technique would be a freezer? And I do think that fits perfectly, right? Because not only is it the inverse of fire, but it also still fits within the kind of cooking theme of his technique, right? Chop up the food, cook the food. The reversal could be storing the leftovers in the freezer, So yeah, I certainly think that works. I don't think it's actually his reversal, which is not what Dragon was saying. But just because I don't think Gege even ever made a reversal for Sukuna. But the reason I explicitly don't think it is because of Uraume, which Dragon also brings up in his comment. And it's because the whole reason Sukuna was interested in them to begin with was because they could freeze things. And he was like, hey, I can use you as my fridge, right? So if Sukuna had that own capability himself with his reversal, I don't think that interest in Uraume would have been there. But I do think it's a fantastic idea as a concept. Then next up, speaking of furnace, Branwyn sent me in his idea for what Yuji's version of the furnace might be, which is something we were talking about a few videos back. And he says that it would be cool if it was burn the soul, which is essentially just this hyper-specific application of the heat to his opponent's soul. So you would burn that, and then as the body follows the soul, they would basically start bursting into flames as well. So I think that's a really cool idea. Then next up, I got a question from Sam that actually combines two things I'm passionate about, JJK and TTRPGs, or tabletop role-playing games. I know we got some D&D fans in the community. We got some crossover there. But Sam has actually created an entire system for a JJK tabletop RPG. He showed me the rules for it. It's actually really cool. So Sam's question is in regards to that, and specifically with black flashes. He's saying that he has a player in his game that wants to use a binding vow to sacrifice the ability to make black flashes in order to get like some sort of bonus in return. So he just wanted my opinion on this. So first of all, like in the real world, in the world of Jujutsu Kaisen, I don't know if that type of binding vow would be possible, only because you can't really sacrifice something you don't have control over, right? Like you can't, not everyone can hit a black flash, period. And even those that are capable of it can't do it on command, right? So it's not really the best bargaining chip to throw away, because who's to say you were even gonna hit one, period? You know what I mean? So I don't know if that's really something in universe that could be levied in a binding vow, but we're not talking about in the real world, right? We're talking about in a TTRPG where there are mechanics for all of these things. And I can't recall exactly how black flashes worked in your system, but I feel like they were kind of like crits. I could think you had to roll like double sixes or something to that extent. So obviously that does have a possibility of happening on any given roll. So I do think you could sacrifice that in that setting. So I think you could allow him to do that. That seems like a cool thing, you know, to kind of reward your player for like some creative thinking. But as far as what to give them in return for not being able to hit a black flash anymore, I would trust your judgment there as the creator of the system. But in general, if you're sacrificing the ability for like big crits, I would assume the return is a more minimal yet passive and guaranteed bonus. So like maybe some sort of bonus to hit, maybe some, you know, +1, 2, again, you know better than me, damage on every hit or something like that. But yeah, I think that's a cool idea. All right, y'all, I think that's gonna do it for this one. This was another longer Juju stroll, so I hope you guys are still cool with these. I do think the wind picked up in a few of those clips, so my apologies for that. But yeah, I'm enjoying doing these on my walk, so I'm glad you guys are here for it as well, with the occasional longer one. And as a quick update on my deer saga, for anybody that missed it, there was literally a baby fawn on my doorstep the other day. I have been continuing to see him in various places around, but I actually haven't seen him in a couple days. I keep seeing the older deer as well. I don't know if it's literally his mother or not, but some of you have probably seen the clips. But yeah, so no big updates in that regard, but next time I see one, I'll let y'all know. No shot. No shot that I literally finished recording that video, turn to the side, and see that deadbeat having a snack on the driveway. Anyways, thanks for watching, y'all.